At this moment, Copycat and Zhuoxiong were standing by the well, and after hearing the movement below, the ground also shook, and the houses in the distance, which were already not very solid, fell one after another, as if there had been a small earthquake. Before the two of them could walk away, they saw a snort from the ancient well, mixed with a huge wind, and a huge green dragon soared into the sky. The moment the tail leaves the ancient well, a pair of huge wings, boom, unfolded, flutter a little. Around the summit of the strange peak, it's a whole circle. Then they flew west. The two of them were dumbfounded. Wait for the copycat to react. The first thing was to give yourself a slap in the face. Then he looked at Zhuoxiong and said, what was that? Zhuoxiong stared blankly at the copy. I felt like I saw a dragon. Then the two continued to look at each other in a daze. A few minutes later, the two men got up almost at the same time and rushed to the well. Shout out loud. Brother Wenbing, Brother Wenbing, Wenbing, Brother Wenbing, Brother Wenbing, Wenbing. The one soldiers below had already walked to the slate shore just now. I didn't hear the shouts from above. Strange things happen. It was originally a pool of water. Not anymore. The original white bones have collapsed. The bronze coffin in the middle. At the moment, it is completely exposed to the air. The screws that were originally densely crawling on top of the chain. It's scattered all over the place at the moment. And the shells have become white. All of a sudden, everything has changed here. Take a closer look. It turned out that there was a huge roof under the coffin. But only an empty shell remains. Old girl, do you hear me? I'll come over now. Brother Wenbing. The cold over there still cried. The two men were most concerned about at the moment. After saying that, he immediately walked towards the opposite rock wall. The waterhole is now empty. Those carbonized bones in the middle. There seems to be a way to go. It's just that you have to go through that bronze pass. It's important to save people right now. Zhao Wenbin can't control it so much. It's better than stepping on a pile of bones. He stood on the stone and jumped down. I walked down that path. Zhuoxiong and He Chao in the village shouted to the bottom of the ancient well for a long time. There was no sound down there. Naturally, I was so anxious that I went crazy. He Chao, who was crazy? I searched for the equipment around me. I grabbed a few handfuls randomly. It's all stuffed into a backpack. After putting on the gloves, grab the rope and go to drink. Blind. You showed me a good look above. I'll go down and see what's going on. Needless to say, something must have happened. Zhuoxiong stopped He Chao. Let me go down. In the past, I was a radical general in the army. To talk about the gods, the whole company I say second. No one dares to say first. The people who came down here, I'm on an archaeological team. Don't say that Brother Wenbing is my eldest brother. Lao Wang is also my uncle. The little witch is my own sister. Besides, your job is to take us into the mountains. It's done now. You can leave. Life and death in this scene are unknown, in case I get you in again. Zhuoxiong threw away the cigarette, but in his hand, stomped on it hard, shouted at the copy. How superb. What are you talking about? Is my Zhuoxiong greedy for life and afraid of death? Let's not talk about our relationship. I've only been with you for 2 days. But I have come to regard you as my brothers. Treats Wenbin as a big brother. Since we are friends, you and I are comrades in arms. It's brothers. That's when I'm going to run. Are you worthy of the years when we were soldiers together in Tibet? After listening to Zhuoxiong's roar, tears were already glistening in the eyes of the copyist. He didn't expect it either. This comrade in arms even looks a little wooden. There will be such heroism. Hugged Zhuoxiong. He patted Zhuoxiong on the back vigorously. A one-handed camera that is very tacit after separation. I pinched it hard. Two of the most effective people on this team finally joined forces and stood together. Let's talk about the Zon soldiers in the well. Since taking that step, I found it in this deep pool. Someone deliberately arranged that path. Let him go. But at this time, he didn't have time to think about anything more. Those sharp bones, although it has been carbonized, rushed a lot, but if one accidentally trips over, pierced into the body, it can kill people. It seems that it wants to pass. This is the way to go. Zavin walked along the road to the front and began to fork in the road. Beforehand, Zonbing stood on a large stone and looked at the bottom of the altar below. I found that the road here, no matter where it goes down, if you don't want to touch the bones, you have to pass through the bronze coffin hanging in the middle, then spread out in all directions to the opposite side. Almost instantly, he thought of it. Here the bones are stacked according to the direction of the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. Who actually used Taoist patterns? Something like this is piled up here. For gossip, Zawinbin is naturally very familiar. I remembered the road I had just seen on it. Zawinbin walked along. It didn't take long to reach the front of the bronze coffin. As long as you can get around this pile of bones again, you should be able to get to the central location. Just as he was about to pass, there was a shout from behind. Just a few minutes ago, above the ancient well, the qualities of the military, especially the scouts, that kind of execution is definitely not comparable to ordinary people. Almost in just 10 seconds, both were already fully equipped. But check it out. All pre-war preparations were in place. Yichao took the lead in going down the well. He didn't have that skill. Admire the murals and lines on the rock walls of the ancient well. It's exactly the kind of high-altitude rappelling in the army. It's good to wear tactical gloves, because it's too urgent. The hand can still feel it. That kind of heat due to friction. It took Zavin a few hours from top to bottom to complete. Yichao only took 3 minutes. When he landed, pulled the rope, tells was shown above that he can go down. What about themselves? Is to stand in place and wait for his comrades. Sure enough, 2 minutes later, Zhuoxiong appeared in Chaozi's sight. Yichao muttered in his heart. Good boys, isn't this kid a pervert? Such a rapid slowdown. Didn't the palm of your hand burn? After Takeo landed, a defiant glance at the awesome. What do you think? Isn't it faster than you? I'm not blowing that. Chaozi choked, unconvinced. I'm going to be slow to show you the way. You know a ball, you. Takeo also refused to defend him. Yes. Yes. A scout is a scout. Observers, a little bit of something in the distance has been discovered by them. This river is not straight. There is a big turn less than 10 meters away from them. Zawunbing's current position is about 80 meters away. The spotlight on his head is dangling, and he saw a quartz stone on the opposite stone pin. There is just a trace of reflection flashing. It is this reflective point that was discovered by the river. He placed his index finger on his lips, made a silencing motion, said softly, after a command. There is no need to do too many movements. Almost at the same time, the 2 men were armed with shotguns, spread out into a distance of about 5 meters, alternately moving forward. Suddenly in the corner of the corner, recognized people walking in the distance at a glance. It's Zavin. The 2 of them shouted in surprise. Brother Wenbing. The copy behind it was praised in a few sword steps. Wait until Zonbing turns around and looks. Yo, These two boys are all down. The two trotted all the way. I haven't had time to see the situation yet. Whoosh twice. Jumped off the big rock one after another. The moment it landed, all I heard was a bang. Zhao Wenbin's originally smiling face froze instantly. The two boys looked at it. What the hell is this damn thing under my feet? It's pitch black. Take a closer look into the distance. It's all this black human bone thing. He bowed his head again, and his feet were all black powder. Realized, this time it's the bones. Stand there and don't move. It is laid out according to a special path. The two of you stand still. Wait for me to come over. Zaven was afraid of these two daredevils. Wait and rush over. Something happened again. He had no choice but to go back again. They were soldiers. He is indeed much more courageous than ordinary people. The plagiarist has done archaeology again. Naturally, I knew that this was a human bone that had been sighed. Wait until Zhao Wenbin is standing in front of them. The copycat stuck out his tongue at Zhao Wenbin, for fear of being scolded. Zhao Wenbin is angry and funny. As soon as the two of them came, they made trouble for themselves. How? I'm afraid I'll die down there to collect the body. I saw Zaven again. The two of them seemed to have found the backbone. Brother civilization, there was an earthquake just now. That's right. We also saw a dragon come out. That's what happened. Earthquake, you're big. You saw him just now. It's the brother here. After speaking, Zavenbing pointed to a circle of dense bones. He pointed to the top of his head again. Zhuo Xiong's eyes widened. Brother here. Brother civilization. The dragon is your brother. You're too big on your own. Even dragons are your friends. Zhao Wenbin looked at this stunned boy. That bit of gas was gone all of a sudden. I'll tell you about it when I get back. The old king and the old girl are in front. Good thing you two are here too. Hurry up and go over to save people first. Listen to the pump. The two of them are also here, pulling his throat and shouting. Little witch. Little witch. Oh now, where are you? No one responded. Pump looked at Zhao Wenbin suspiciously. Zhao Wenbin also realized that it was not good. It's in the crack in the stone of the cliff opposite. He was still talking to me. It's not like something happened. Let's get over first. As he spoke, he took the lead and walked forward. The latter two followed. Walk cautiously, so that you don't touch those bones again. What about this man? You really can't rush at a critical moment. Something is going to happen in a hurry. Zhao Wenbin felt the bronze coffin tightly in advance. It's not easy to fall here, but that way could only be bypassed in front of him. In desperation, I had no choice but to go here. When he was the first to walk past the bronze coffin, there is only the stone wall in front of me. I didn't have time to say hello to the two of them. I forgot to say such a simple sentence. So much so that it eventually caused a catastrophe. It was in the pile of bones, leaving only one person to barely pass the road. So the formation of three people walking. In turn, Zaven soldiers took the lead. Zhuo Xiong is in the center. Why copy the queen of the palace? The copy shouted just now. Didn't get a response. At this moment, everyone's hearts. It's already very tense. Walking naturally turned into jogging. When Zhao Wenbin passed through the bronze pass, slowed down slightly, went around the pass and moved on. Hina took a look when he passed by. Oh my god. There is also a bronze pass here. And the volume is larger than the four above. He just sat down for a moment, paused, glancing at the bronze gate. I don't want to copy later. At the moment, there is only the opposite stone wall in my heart. One break didn't stop. There was a thud on his back. Zhuoxiong didn't stand firm. Almost subconsciously with the hands, he lifted the chain that hung from it. A pain in the palm. There was a tear in the mouth. Spread out your palms and take a look. It turned out that the middle finger was pierced with skin. Confused. This Zhuoxiong originally wore speed gloves on his hands. But for the convenience of the activity, this military tactical glove, the index finger is leaking outside. It turned out that there was still an empty shell with a few screws on the chain. This screw is the kind of snail. The tail is particularly pointed and young. It's been a long time since I've been dead. It's crispy though, but it's sharper. Was pinched by Zhuoxiong like this. It happened to pierce the exposed finger. Small broken skin of this magnitude. For this scout-turned-fellow. Not even an injury. But that's it. Almost killed everyone. Zhuoxiong grabbed the chain. The copycat behind it doesn't know what happened yet. Muttered in his mouth. Blind. You'd better hurry up. Saving people from the front. What are you doing here? Zhao Wenbin in front heard the conversation in the back. Turn your head and look. Zhuoxiong was pointing to the coffin. Can't. You see. There's a coffin that's bigger than the top. That's what it means. I could barely wait for Zhao Wenbin to shout that sentence. Hurry up and get your hands off the way. The drop of blood on Zhuoxiong's finger. Tick it up. It has fallen on the bronze coffin. Almost at the same time, the chain from which the coffin was originally hung began to shake violently. There was a constant drop of rubble overhead, this sudden scene in front of me. So that Chaozi and Zhuoxiong were not surprised. But the scout's keen hunch. At this moment, it is still vividly embodied. Run. Zavin's snort. The running word has not yet fallen. Two people jumped out of a window. Both of them crossed over the original leaning body to be able to pass through the trail, rushing to the front. Zhao Wenbin's mind. Only one thought remained. Hurry up and rush out of this bone formation first. Gravel fell from behind. The crackling of broken bones. And so on. Blended with thousands of years ago, ancient bronze chains, the gurgling sound that came out, resounding throughout the dark river ancient road. If only they could stop and take a look. I'm afraid they'll be even more surprised. At the moment when Zhuoxiong's blood dripped onto the bronze coffin, the bronze embroidery caused by long-term water seepage began to peel off slowly. The original hidden quaint pattern on the coffin rod is revealed. If this is the case, Zhao Wenbin will have time to take a look. You will definitely find that these patterns are the same as those he built on the walls of the general's temple. It belongs to the same script. These ancient and mysterious patterns. It's like someone wiped it down. It's back to freshly cooked. Solemn and sacred bronze. Shines brightly. Wait until all the patina is peeling off. The whole coffin is presented. If only from a process point of view. This bronze coffin, already it can be called. It has been the best work in history. The whole coffin is about 5 meters long, 3 meters wide. In addition to the carved inscription on the lid of the coffin, there is also a huge tree carved into it. The entire body covers the entire coffin lid. The trunk of the tree has a total of 3 forks. Each fork has 3 branches. A total of 9 branches. Each branch is carved with 3 bronze leaves. The veins on the leaves are clear. Lifelike. A total of 27 leaves. Look at each leaf. 3 more worms were carved. The shape is varied. None of them are the same. The entire coffin lid is a tree with 3 forks. 27 leaves and 81 insects. Plain text is lined every 7 words. 7 lines in total. A total of 7,749 characters. The front of the coffin is engraved with a dragon head. The rear is engraved with a dragon's tail. Take a closer look. The bronze coffin is also carved with a wing on each side. If it's drawn on paper, it was the ghost fire released by Kaiza Wenbin, composed of a hard dragon shape. When the last two copper sleeves on the dragon's head are peeled off, a pair of huge dragon's eyes stand out. Occupies a quarter of the entire dragon hand. It's horrifying. Originally, the chain was tied to the bronze pass. A loud cracking sound began to be heard, vaguely about to break. The three people in front of them didn't care about the changes that took place behind them, because boulders are falling across the entire water hole. Smashed the already carbonized human bones, crushing. Powder fluttered everywhere. The three men were running at a speed of 100-meter sprint. I don't care about the sharp bones on the side of my feet. Fortunately, Zonbing is on this gossip array. It's too familiar to know it anymore. The two people in the back are nimble scouts. Almost as soon as they ran out of the bottom of the altar, all the chains that bind the bronze pass have broken. The three ran to safety. Inserted psoas muscles, one after another, gasping for breath there. Look back. Just now it was the bottom of the altar where the white bones were searching. At this moment, it is already full of rubble of various sizes. The largest was the size of a truck. What about the small ones? It's the size of a basketball. The copycat looked at the horrific scene behind him, sticking out his tongue and panting. Chong Zhuoxiong said, "Oops, my goodness. Scared. I said you just did something. If it weren't for our legs and feet, even without being poked to death by a bone, it has been smashed into meatloaf by those stones." Takeo is a scout though. At this moment, he is already fighting with his feet, even after having experienced the exercise of the barracks. But this escape on the brink of death, it also shocked him enough. What am I doing? I don't blame you yet. Hit me in the back. I didn't stand still, holding onto a chain. That's it. This kind of strange thing. Zhao Wenbin himself is half understood. But when he saw the blood on Zhuoxiong's fingers, when it is about to drip onto the coffin, a thought suddenly broke out in my heart. Run. Something is going to happen here. He didn't understand it himself. Why is there such an idea? Why is there a deep fear of that bronze coffin? He built a lot of coffins. Only this kind of bronze antiquity was something he had never touched. This kind of thing only existed in the ancient times, full of legends of gods and demons. God knows if the ancestors of that era would have felt the opposite. To say that the current cycle of life and death is governed by the underworld. But that was also a wound to Zhou Xing. It was only after the gods that there was a specific statement. Looks like something here is far ahead of its time. God knows. The main speaker here does not talk about the current rules. Zhao Wenbin was already in cold sweat on his forehead. To say that there is a god and a ghost coming out, I can still handle it myself. This kind of machine-like thing. Flesh multiplication, if next to a stone. At this moment, it is already a fate. From the day he began to learn the Tao, I learned a rule from my master. Never be able to tell your own fortune. Otherwise, it will be damned. So Zhao Wenbin himself doesn't know. When will you suddenly be in trouble? Disaster from above. Those who learn the Tao are not only interested in the Tao, but also the Tao Dharma. Universally save people. It's more about the destiny of each other. Like him, he thinks about going against the sky. Those who try to break the will of heaven. It is actually a taboo in Taoism. Zhao Wenbin didn't have time to think at the moment. It was just such a fuss. He remembers. Lung Iran waved the position of the white clothes. At this moment, they were standing above. Look up. Sure enough, there was a rock crevice. Plagiar. You reach out, try to see if you can climb to the top. After speaking, he pointed to the location of the gap. Lao Wang, they are in that stone crevice. The stone wall was about 20 meters above the ground. The plagiarist glanced at it, and it was almost impossible to have a point of focus on the bare rock. But for now, no matter what, we have to go up as soon as possible. Blind man, lend me your dagger. Takeo didn't dare to delay. Pull out the military dagger you carried with you. The copycat catches the light. Thank you. He held a dagger in one hand. He still has a handful in his mouth. With a bundle of rope on his shoulder, walked towards the stone wall. The stone walls are shiny, but there are gaps. The copycat plunged the dagger into the tiny gaps. With a strong ability. Alternate knives with both hands. I just let him climb halfway in a few minutes. He smiled at the two people below. Hee, not a big problem. Those boulders had blocked the view of Zhao Wenbin and Zhuoxiong below. No anomalies were noted, but the plagiarist stood tall. Nature also sees far. The moment I looked back, he found the coffin he had just passed by. The chains that were originally tied. It's completely broken at the moment, scattered all over the place. The closed lid that was originally sealed. A crack has already been opened. The cover was originally inhabited by bronze. There are thousands of pounds anyway, not to be shaken like this. Let's move the position. And around the bronze bone pass. There are no trouble times. And the scribe saw the slit. It is slowly expanding. Something is about to break out of the way. Chaozi was lying on his stomach in the cliff wall. It's been another minute or so. The direction of the eyes is not the two below. It's in the distance. This critical moment, how could he still have the heart to rest? The bamboo bear shouted at the top of his voice. Kaon, what are you doing there? Hurry up and get up. He Ichao grabbed the dagger with one hand and pointed ahead. The faces flushed. It took a long time to hold back a word. Zhuoxiong down there is not happy. That's what that. If you can't climb up, come down for me. Replace me with injuries. After speaking, he rolled up his sleeves. I started planning to climb the rocks. What about Zhang Wenbin at this moment? He saw that Chaozi had paused on it for so long. It's also very strange in my heart. Look in the direction of the copyist's finger. Originally, the upper vertical chain connected to the top of the tooth. There were traces of cracking in the shadows. The four chains seemed to be under great force. Begin to descend slowly. The force it brought with it caused the rift to spread out in all directions. It seems that they are not far from their temporary hell. Zavenbing realized that the general situation was not good. At this time, any human force is used to resist this force of nature. All in vain. Don't be stunned. Hurry up and take the two of them down. We're already too late. There's a good chance it's going to collapse. The ugly man is on it, and everything is in the eyes. Listen to the shouting below, and don't look back. Now all he can do is go as fast as he can. Go up and give people to the next. Dagger wielding. Pick it up gently. The copycat is like an ape. With lightning speed. Climb up to the gap of the eye pin. It's not even time yet. Say hello to the people below. I slipped into that small space in one fell swoop. Go inside and have a look. Sure enough, Lao Wang and Long are still two people. They're all lying in there. Pale face. Unconscious. The copycat probed with his fingers. Both were still breathing. In contrast, Lao Wang was even weaker. There was only a glimmer of breath left and still wandering. Be aware of the current situation. The copycat pulled out the rope. A boulder tied to the back door of it. Throw it down. Shouted. Both of them are here. All are alive. Blind man, hurry up and carry one. The news came in such a dangerous situation. It's a shot in the arm for them. It doesn't matter what happens after that. At least at the moment their companions are still alive. As long as you live, there is hope. Zhuoxiong didn't say a word. Grabbed the rope. In the end, it is professional. 20 meters high rock wall. It took less than 10 seconds. It's about the same speed as an average person walking on flat ground. Zhao Wenbin saw it in his eyes. Anxious in the heart. Because not far above the crack. It's getting bigger and bigger. There is a danger of collapse at any time. Hurry up. It's too late. This is urgent. The above is just as urgent. The ugly man was responsible for carrying Long Aran, but the doll was unconscious. I don't have to work hard. This cliff is not careful. It's okay on it. I went down and fell. That's a big problem. The two took off their vests again. Torn into strips of cloth. I made a simple bandaging rack. He tied them to his back. Try it out to make sure you don't have any surprises. That's how I got ready to go. Because this rope is disassembled. So the weight at the moment is not enough to support 4 people. It can only be separated. Now it seems that Lao Wang's situation is more urgent. The first person to go down was Zhuoxiong. Because I was afraid that something would happen, so the speed is a little slower than before. The Zan soldiers below urged vigorously. Hurry, hurry, hurry. The money on it is naturally clear. Because he saw nothing but the cracks in the top of the cliff. I also saw the coffin. 2/3 of the way has been opened at the moment. I was also so anxious that I stomped my feet there. If it weren't for the fact that the position is too high now. He wanted to jump right now. Wait for the moment Zhuoxiong landed. Without hesitation, the copycat grabbed the rope and descended. Zan Bing below and Zhuoxiong, who had already landed, were shouting below. Hurry up with the copy. Because at this moment, the crack above the 4-knife chain is about to be torn at a glance. The seemingly impregnable rock is as fragile as tofu dregs. In fact, at this time, if Chaozi turned around to look, he will find that the coffin has been completely opened. Finally, when the superton was less than 5 meters above the ground. Boom, roar, roar. A loud roar was mixed with flying stones. The top of the cliff finally couldn't hold it anymore. Completely ruptured. And then there's the knock, knock, knock. For loud metal crashes were heard. Converged. Vibrating back and forth in this semi-enclosed space. Bump into each other. Make a loud noise. Let everyone cover their ears. The sound could not be stopped for a long time.